the Berlin Conference, the people putting Africa on the table like a cake. And they said, this is going to be yours. And there was no African there to represent our interest. But here we are, languishing in abject poverty amidst plenty. We must fight. We must wake up and fight. Those of you who are in this front of traditional medicine, this is the time to wake up and fight so that we can benefit from the wealth the good Lord gave us. How I got to get, to know about our traditional medicine as a young boy. It happened I was sharing some ideas with my mother, like we all do. We learn from parents, not so? Parents are the first teachers. Mothers, as you know, are the first and permanent teachers. So this mother of mine, who used to come from all the way in Kannabulemu, if you know this country, it is beyond Masaka. And she was saying me, telling me, when we were young, they would walk on foot from Kannabulemu, going through that huge forest called Maramagambo. There were no borders, no bicycles at that time. But they used to meet groups of white people accompanied by African porters. And they were carrying baskets and sacks full of leaves, full of roots, full of fruits. So as a Ugandan, which was, but what are these Bazungu doing? Are they practicing witchcraft? You can see. Talking about traditional medicine runs direct to thinking maybe somebody is involved in, witchcraft. Anyway, eventually, they got to know that, no, these Bazungu were taking, those samples they had collected to some place. I think you call them laboratories these days. Some laboratories, some of them very far away in their own countries. And from there, they would make medicine and come and sell it very expensively to us. Herbal medicine, I will not go into the technicalities, but traditional medicine is now globally $1 trillion business. Why don't you take that opportunity from the experience we are getting from here, so that we also cease to have this problem of our young people traveling to far distant countries only to be mistreated when they are there. When, as we are told, we have almost, 90% of all the medicinal requirements the world needs. The answer in curbing that exodus of the best, people go at their best when they can, contribute most to our country. Very young, energetic, not as old as Kavuma, who is 77 now. Thank God for that. And they are not judges like Kavuma. But we are being robbed of those human resources because of our ignorance. It was Winston Churchill who coined that thing of the power of Africa. After his tour of the African continent, he had been to South Africa, many countries. Then as he was going back, he reached here, and what he saw here, he said, when he went back to the UK, in their House of Commons, he said, concentrate on Uganda. Uganda is the pearl of Africa. Because he had seen the resources. And we have had the parliament ever since independence. But nobody has had the muscle to, until recently, to say, look, enough is enough, we must address this problem. And when it was addressed, implementation has become a problem. Now, what is wrong with us? Brother, you told us, now things are okay. we have done this and we have identified the source of the money. The club. Are you justified to get that club after dating 25, 27, 57 years? I'm talking to you like the other leaders who have been in that sector. But here we are languishing in abject poverty amidst plenty. We must fight, we must wake up and fight. Those of you who are in this front of traditional medicine, this is the time to wake up and fight so that we can benefit from the wealth the good Lord gave us. I am a Christian, and remember our brothers, the Muslims, have the same. When the Lord created the world, at a moment he said, look, I have created everything and it looks good, but it needs a manager. That's how the human beings were made. And he gave us the authority to come and manage. Managing meaning you can also put to your benefit whatever he gave to us. So when we go into this field and we want to benefit from the potential of being a first world country in terms of economics, like we have learned here, it is only our grandchildren will blame us if we don't fight and put our foot on the global place where all medicines are now, all countries are now resorting to their traditional medicines. I was in Singapore one time, 2 years ago. They took us to a place called China City. The Chinese, because of their aggressiveness, wherever they go, they have their own, and I think there is one now being opened here. China? Yes, Chinatown. Their traditional medicine, if it was not the restrictions on the baggage you carry when you travel by air, all of us who have wanted to come with the sacks, just like those who my mama saw, taking our medicine in the sacks and, out of their traditional medicine. And they are perfect. That is why, as we have been learning here, they give you a choice whether you want to go by the traditional medicine or the conventional. That is what you call it, all right? But the point I am making is that the Lord gave us all this potential. It is here, but we have not woken up to wake up that sleeping giant of Uganda in the field of making and utilizing our traditional medicine. And we must, because not only the grandchildren will blame us, but even the Lord, he would say, I gave you remember the story, grandparents we are living even longer. Today when I'm talking about being 77, some people say, but these people used to live beyond 100. And it is possible, because even current research now says a human being can, in spite of all the damages we are causing to ourselves through eating, what God has given you. That is a very dangerous level of ignorance, and many of us are suffering from that. So when I look at you, the audience here, and I see, and I want to thank the organizers, because they tried to make sure that everybody follows, they translate, they do that, Language should not be a barrier to sharing knowledge. It should not. Talking about the Muzungu and our culture, demonization, people have talked about. The first thing they said on this front where we are now, we must demonize their capacity to produce medicine. So, like many have said, the moment you talk about being a practitioner, they think you are a witch, a witch, which is not. Secondly, they said, but we must also colonize their mentality, because we never know, one time we shall go away. So our mentality, to a very big extent, is still locked down in that kind of situation, where people who are very well learned, and you look at them and you have spent a lot of money as a Ugandan, a parent, the system through schools, you get scholarships, you go abroad for a long time, you come back here, You cannot make an aspirin. Yet that aspirin is made, I'm just using it as an example, is made from material which is being looted. Did you hear that? Looted from us here through another sweet-coated, sugar-coated language of exporting so that we can earn dollars. But you are exporting something that is valuable without adding value. And you are donating that to somebody who manipulates it a bit and come bring it back and steals your money because it was originally your money. Very exorbitantly, and you kill up. Eh? The mindset has to change, like our speakers have said. Mindset must change. After that, then people realize that these small states of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, which were parceled out in Berlin, you remember? The Berlin conference? The people putting Africa on the table like a cake. And they said this is going to be yours. And there was no African there to represent our interest. But the way we cherish my being a Ugandan against being a East African or even an African, to the extent that somebody, but I am going to see my auntie who, by this question of partitioning, is a Kenyan, but I am a Ugandan, and we are coming from the same. If you looked at the grandparents we talked about, you may be coming from the same family. Yeah? So our mentality is still under colonial yoke. We must fight to liberate it, not only in the political field, not only the Pan-African, front. Because when I see that we are talking about African traditional medicine, I realize that actually we are talking about something bigger than Uganda traditional medicine. There is an element of Pan-Africanism there. Because united, you stand. Divided, you collapse. Not so? Even this front must be used for that, to liberate our people from this open theft of our traditional medicines, not only from Uganda, but also from the whole of the continent of Africa. To make a law to attend, not holistically, but to some areas of African traditional medicine practice, by regulating, like we have been said, the practitioners, but not touching the rights, our rights of owning the value and the wealth embedded in that. How many years is that? 67. 57 years. So, I think we are at a stage where, when you look at the developments in the legal sector, I'm sorry, but I belong to Ngok clan, and the modern Ngok people, they call a spade a spade.